If you're a health or life coach who is getting fed up of social media, who hates the idea of having to post reels on Instagram and dance on TikTok, then today's episode of the show is going to give you 5 proven strategies for getting clients that has nothing to do with social media. And even better, all of these 5 strategies are low tech. Let's dive in. Hi there, welcome to the Wholehearted Business Show. I'm Laura. I help highly sensitive and heart-centered health and life coaches get more clients, grow their businesses, and live the best lives while they do it. And today on the show, we're talking all about 5 proven strategies to get more clients without using social media, which also happen to be very, very low tech as well. So if you are someone who wants to grow your coaching business and get more clients, but does not want to use social media, then this is the right episode of the show for you, because we're going to dive into this topic in a lot of detail. Now, I have talked about this before. I'm going to link to the previous episode of the show where I talked about how to market your coaching business without social media. And in that particular episode of the show, we give lots and lots of different examples of how you can do other things that will help your business grow and help you get clients, including things like using YouTube, using podcasting, using SEO, all of those kind of things, which are amazing. And if you want to learn more about how you can use those kind of search-based platforms where you are creating really great content and that is getting seen by people, and you're not having to use your typical social media platforms like Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and so on, then that is absolutely my vibe too. And do check out my free 4-hour marketing workflow, which covers how you can integrate all of that. And also, if you do want to use a little bit of social media, we do cover that in that as well. So do go and check out that. It's in the description. Sometimes when we decide that we don't want to use social media, or we don't want to use a lot of social media to market our coaching business, we can think that we're really missing out on something. The good news is I really don't believe that we are. And many people, more and more these days, are running successful businesses without using any social media whatsoever. Now, what I'm going to share today can be taken and used in conjunction with a little bit of social media, with no social media at all. It's totally up to you. And again, the effectiveness of social media is debatable these days. And I honestly believe that you're not losing out on anything. You're not missing out on anything if you decide not to use it. So just to reiterate that, if you kind of had that feeling inside where you think, oh, I really should be doing this, and I really don't want to, and the idea of sitting and scrolling on my phone feels awful or whatever, that's fine. There are various different ways to show up and use social media, even if there's parts of it that you don't enjoy or that you don't want to engage with. What I want to get across is it doesn't have to be black or white. It doesn't have to be no social media at all or fully into social media. There can be a middle ground that might be a much happier place to be, where you get some of the benefits from social media but not as many of the downsides. So that's something to explore as well. But what we're going to look at today is 5 proven strategies that will work to help you get clients that also happen to be low tech. So in this episode, I'm not going to share, as I've talked about before, podcasting, YouTube, blogging, SEO, and various other things that you can do, Pinterest as well, that is a bit more tech heavy. And like I say, you can check out that free guide, which is going to kind of give you a bit of a starter on that stuff if that's something that you want to learn more about. And I also actually have a really exciting event that's going to come up really soon that is going to be focused on those kind of platforms. But for today, I wanted to talk a bit more about the kind of non-tech, low-tech options, because again, in this very high-tech world, in this very online world, it's really easy to forget that actually some of these are the simplest, most direct ways to get clients that we have available. And there's no reason not to use them if they align for you. So the first strategy is to use your existing network. Now, again, caveat here, sometimes you will start a coaching business and not really have much of an existing network. But if you do, it makes sense to leverage that existing network. So whether that's former colleagues, people that you've worked with, friends and family, acquaintances, friends of friends, that kind of thing. Think about all of the people that you can get in touch with, or you can contact, or you can let know that you are available to work with clients and the work that you do and the way that you can support people. Just make sure that they know, start from that point. And yes, some of them might not be your ideal clients, they probably won't be, but they might know someone who is. So starting with your existing network, starting with the people that you already know, can really, really be helpful. And like I say, it might be the case that you don't have much of an existing network, and that's okay. There's plenty of other things we can try. But my advice to any coach would always be, think about who you've actually got access to right now. And it's always worth either sending out a friends and family email that kind of lets them know what it is that you're up to and what you're doing and how to refer people to you, whether or not it's, just talking about it with the people that you know. You know, that's such a simple thing. And yes, it can feel really, really scary talking about it to people that you know, but sometimes that's where you find your first clients. There's also a bit of a mindset thing with this, in that sometimes we don't think that clients who come from people that we know are like real clients or like legitimate clients, because they haven't just kind of found us like themselves, but they are just as valid clients as anyone else. So always think about, who have I got existing in my network that I can tell about what it is that I do, whether it's them directly potentially becoming a client or someone they know. That's a really, really important place to start, and it's really, really simple. The next strategy is to host a local workshop or event. Now, again, we're talking about quite low tech, quite in-person stuff, and that's really, really powerful. You know, I talk a lot in my work about the power of connection, and about how when we form connections with people and build relationships with people, that is when we start to generate clients, and when, you know, people start to want to work with us because they know, like, and trust us, which again is one of those kind of marketing terms that gets like overused a little bit, but it is true. When people actually connect with us, one of the best ways we can do that is actually in person. So holding some kind of workshop or event where you can promote that locally and get people to come along is a great idea. It's especially if you create that event around a topic that is going to naturally attract your ideal clients. You can either run that event for free or charge for it. It's a really great way to start just building that network. You know, we talked in the last one about using your existing network. This is a great one of actually building a new network, but also, you know, helping people see that you know your stuff. And again, it comes back to that know, like, and trust stuff. Events can do a lot of that, can tick a lot of those boxes. So it's really worth thinking about, is it worth actually putting some kind of meet-up event, gathering, something actually in your local area, and you organising that? That can be really powerful to do that, and to, again, start to get to know people, start to build that network, start to have that interaction with people. That's the basis of getting clients. You can even directly pitch to people. You know, you can run an event and say at the end, hey, I do work with people one-to-one. If this has been helpful, if you want to work with someone on these things, and, you know, and I can help you achieve this result, then that's a great way to do it. You've actually got a room full of people that you can pitch to. And then the next strategy is to collaborate with others. And what this boils down to is finding people where you kind of complement each other, in terms of you have got the same audience, but you support them with different things. So you're not directly in competition with each other, but you kind of complement each other. So this could be local practitioners who maybe do something slightly different to you, but again, serve the same audience. It might be, you know, running a workshop together. It might be, you know, seeing whether or not you want to do a mutual referral, so that they refer some people onto you and you refer some people onto them. It might be that you have a more formal kind of affiliate relationship. There could be all sorts of different ways that you can do this. It could be finding people, you know, who have a space that you could host something in where you can add value to their members. For example, I've got a client right now, and he's going to his local CrossFit gyms and is doing, you know, seminars in the CrossFit gym. It's adding to their, you know, to the CrossFit gym's provision. He's offering that, and in exchange he gets access to their audience, which is ideal for him. So there's lots of different ways that you can collaborate that are non-techie. Obviously there's some much more techie ways to collaborate in summits and bundles and online events, but you know, we want to focus on the low tech stuff. So really think about who is operating in my local area. You know, again, if you want to take it a bit more tech, you know, when you want to get a bit more online, you know, thinking about who is operating online, and just thinking about those kind of collaborative opportunities where, again, do you want to do something together, like run a workshop together? Do you want to access each other's audiences? You know, like, what can that look like? How can you support one another? How can you work together in community and in collaboration to get in front of more people? And again, the common kind of theme of a lot of the things that I'm sharing today around getting clients is like getting in front of new people, and people knowing that you exist in a way that you can also communicate how you can help them. There's a whole sales piece about converting those people who know that you exist as well. But ultimately, this is about how can I get in front of new people who previously did not know that I was here, and help them understand the ways in which I can help them. And again, collaborations is a great way to do that. Next up is to look for press and PR opportunities. Now, again, another one that is just a fantastic idea that so many people forget about doing, but there are so many different publications, whether that's local newspapers, national newspapers, local radio stations, magazines, like all sorts of different places that are publishing content, whether that's online content or actual like physical printed content. And thinking about the work that you do and thinking about the people that you support, is there any interesting angle? Can you tag that into something that's seasonal, something that's really highly relevant or trending right now? And can you use that to actually pitch to any kind of form of press so that you can actually get featured? So this is something I did quite a lot in my earlier days of being a health coach. And I've actually got a stack, and maybe I should have gotten it out for this episode of the show. I've got a stack of magazines, probably about, for people who are listening on the podcast, kind of like the height of my forearm, quite a big stack of magazines and places that I've been featured as a health coach. So really think about, like, are there any publications? And again, you can kind of get a bit more niche with this and think about, well, what places might my ideal clients be reading, or what forms of content might they be, or what publications might they be engaging with, and kind of target it that way. Or you can kind of just go for a broader brushstroke, really. That's totally fine too. So think about, are there any local publications? I always like to start local. I think it feels much more comfortable starting local. Look online for information about how to pitch, how to do a press release. Look up the journalists' email addresses and send stuff to them. And I know that this can feel really, really scary. I actually had a client who was running these amazing retreat days in her garden. She had a bell tent in her back garden, and she was running these amazing retreat days. And one of the things I said to her was, like, this is such a fun idea, such a fun concept. Like, this should be in magazines, this should be in newspapers. Like, that would be a great form of, like, locally based press, because obviously she was doing that in person. So really the press needed to be quite local. And I suggested that to her, and she ended up having this, like, massive, like, magazine spread. It was absolutely amazing. So again, really think about the press and PR side of it. Is there any angles of what you do that fit into something seasonal, trending, something that's a bit quirky or interesting, something that has a bit of a story? It could be your story, it could be your transformation. Think about that side of things, and then create a press release or a pitch and identify the publications and send it off. It's simple as that. And that can be really, really effective, again, for more people knowing that you exist. And then finally, another strategy that can work really, really well is simply having flyers and posters in popular locations that people can see that talk about the work that you do. Now, again, you can use this kind of in connection with things like running the workshops. You can use this in connection with, like, the collaborations, but ultimately using flyers and posters, it is super old school. But it worked back then for a reason, and it can still work now. Like, yes, alone, it might be a little bit hit and miss. There might be some kind of things that, you want to add to in terms of using potentially a little bit of social media as well. And again, I do think that all of these things work really, really well and can work well on their own, but you might want to add some of the other platforms and approaches that I mentioned in some of the other episodes of the show that I've done around non-social media based marketing. But using flyers and leaflets, putting them in your local library, your local cafe, your local health centre, your local leisure centre, think about all the places, the doctor surgeries, like anywhere like that you're able to leave some flyers, like, do it. Sometimes that's a really great way to get found and for people to find you. Have a discount code on there, have some information on there. Like, you can share that stuff, like, as a physical thing. So don't forget the power of the old school methods, because they did work for a reason. You just need to be smart about it. And again, it doesn't have to be super high tech either, It can be really, really simple. Just handing some of these out, pushing them through people's doors if you have to. Like I say, it might be a bit hit and miss, but it can pay off. So just to quickly sum up the different approaches that we've talked about. And again, these are generally kind of very, like, in-person, not online, low-tech methods. No social media involved whatsoever. Ways to get clients. And really, again, what we are centering this on is more people knowing that you exist. And therefore, the idea is that you've got more potential clients, more potential people who could become clients in your kind of sphere, that they know that you exist. The whole conversion to clients is a slightly different thing. And again, how you might want to pitch your offerings, things like that. You do need to do some of that. So that's also part of it. But getting in front of new people, marketing your business, attracting more clients, this is going to tick all of those boxes. So first of all, we had leveraging your existing network. So anyone that you already know, making sure that they know what it is that you're doing, friends of friends, that kind of thing, your existing network. Next up, we had running a local event or meetup or some kind of activity in your local area that you are putting on, that you are running, that is themed around, it's going to attract people who are interested in your niche. putting together some kind of event. Then we've got collaborations, like those kind of complementary collaborations that you can do with people who have a similar audience to you, but they don't do the same thing as you. That can be really, really wonderful to collaborate with people and find out who's in your local area. Or like I say, if you do want to bring that one online, you can bring it online. Look for press and PR opportunities, or make those opportunities happen yourself. Look at what it is that you're doing, write press releases, pitch to journalists. All of that can be really effective. And then finally, we had flyers and posters. Super, super old school, but still has a lot of potential if you use it well and if you put them in the right places. So there we go. There are 5 proven strategies for getting more clients through increasing your visibility, more people knowing that you exist. Very, very low tech, no social media. I really hope that those have been helpful and got you thinking about some things. Like I say, if you do want to add in some online platforms that are not social media, so not Instagram, not TikTok, not Facebook, not LinkedIn, not X, etc., then my bag is absolutely, YouTube, Pinterest, podcasting and SEO, and that is something I'm going to be covering in a really exciting event that I've got coming up really, really soon. But in the meantime, do check out my 4-hour marketing workflow for coaches. That is going to help you kind of get the gist of what it is that we are talking about. If you want to get involved in some of those things, check out the link in the description to download that. Okay guys, I really hope that's been helpful. Let me know which of those you would give a try. I'd love some people who do more press and PR. I think it's a really exciting thing that not enough people are actually making a use of as coaches. But anyway, let me know which of those that you're going to try. Leave me a comment if you're watching on YouTube about that. If you're listening on the podcast, you feel free to pop me an email. I'm laura@wholeheartedlaura.com. Let me know if you've got any feedback. There's also a link in the podcast show notes where you can actually directly click on that and give me feedback in that and ask any questions that you've got as well. So do check that out in the show notes too. And I will be back next week as always, guys. I hope that you are all really, really well, and I will see you soon. Take care. Bye.